Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we have SpankoYGO with us today, and he's going to be showing us his Altergeist deck profile.
Before I get into the profile, I came third today. I went X1 locals. It was third place, which is kind of awkward because second place just tiebreakers suck. But the deck's still really good. With Faker back at 3, the deck's insane. The only problem with the deck, I would say, is that it's kind of like a bad Eldritch. The only loss I had today was Eldritch, just because even though you can grind pretty well, Eldritch just grinds better. But yeah, the deck is really good. I'm very confident with it. I think it's still a really good deck. It's a very slept on deck. It's also, other than Extravagance, a pretty cheap deck. So yeah, let's get into it.
Cool.
So first thing is obviously triple Faker. They gave this card back to us, and it's literally just insane. The only reason this deck is good is because of this card. Triple Marionetter, your best normal summon, only because Faker's back at 3. Otherwise, this would be your best normal summon, just because this searches this. And as soon as you get to this, you're in a really commanding position. What ends up happening is you start to snowball a lot with this deck, right? So as soon as you like have this turn 1 or opening hand, or can get to it open in your opening hand, you can start snowballing really well, and then that's what this deck does, it just snowballs. This is pretty standard, I would say, like just 2 Silkwoodus and 1 Conqueror. I don't like this, but at the same time, it's so clutch. Sometimes this literally just... You can loop it a lot with this, and when you loop it, it becomes really, really weird, right? Yeah, they're all spellcasters too, which I'm not playing Secret Village because I don't think it's great right now, but technically if you wanted to play something like Secret Village. But I'll get into that later. But yeah, so this is a standard lineup, I would say. I wouldn't change this up because I think this is really good. So that's it for the Altergeist monsters. I know some people, and I've heard some people want to cut this down to 2 because they said this is a brick, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think that's horrible. That's a horrible decision. So 3 Faker for sure. For hand traps, I'm playing 2 Ash and 3 Nibiru, and that's it. So actually, I'm going to explain this. 2 Ash only because every time I draw multiple, Ash like sucks. So once per turn, and it's just a generic hand trap. It's actually not great in the format anymore. It's just played because it's generic against random rogue matchups and whatnot. Nibiru is just so impactful right now against so many decks. And stuff like Rock, for example, so stuff like Adamantipator, you need a Nibiru plus another hand trap for you to break their boards or for you to out their combos. Otherwise, like 1 Nibiru or 1 Ash is not going to be enough. Now, I know a lot of people are playing Effect Veiler for the Hulk Q5 Celine combo. I think it sucks. I tried it last week. It sucks. Because you open Veilers, and the thing is, if you're not using the Veiler to normal summon it to make help, it's just such a bad hand trap. It's just not impactful at all, especially against some of the more meta stuff, something like Eldritch. Like, even if you Veiler, like, an Auroradon, let's say, right? So let's say they're doing their combo, you Veiler their Hulk, or you Veiler Auroradon. It's like, against the Jet Synchro, like, Eldritch stuff, then they'll just, like, set 4 and do Eldritch plays. So, Veiler, I just didn't find was great, and so I just thought Nibiru was, like, the better one. Because you break their board, and then you can just continue playing, right?
Do you have an opinion on Ogre or like anything like that?
I should say actually. So I'm actually siding Ogre, but I should say that when the Numeron stuff comes out, because as of today, Numeron should be coming out next week, I think. So yeah, once Numeron comes out, I think I might cut this to 2. And maybe cut something else, and then play 2 Ogre in the middle. So I'll play 6 hand traps, so 2, 2, and 2. But for now, I just play this just because of there's no Numeron. But when Numeron comes out, yeah, for sure, definitely play 2 Ogre. I think Ogre is gonna be standard in every deck because you have to play it out that
for the field spell.
Yeah,
got it.
But so yeah, so this I like this for now. And then for spells, I'm not running that many. I'm running 3 Extrav, which is the only expensive card in the deck, and the only but it's like a draw 2.
You don't have to get Secret Rares. It did come out in Ultras, but either way will still be expensive.
Funny enough, Secret Rares aren't even highest rarity anymore. Collector's Rare is highest rarity, so I might need to get those. 2 Duality. Now this is something I added in recently. I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest with you, because it interrupts Milliseek. And that sucks because you want to get to Faker as fast as possible. But because Faker's at 3, I was like, man, maybe Duality is good because I won't always have to use Milliseek into Faker. Whereas before, like, it was really bad because Milliseek and a lot of people played Sangan to get to the 1 of Faker. But yeah, just because Faker's at 3 now, you can play Duality. It gets you into something just a little bit deeper, and it works with Extrav. No other draw card obviously works. This isn't draw, it adds, so it works with Extrav. Other draw cards don't work. But yeah, if you wanted to, like I was saying, you can maybe cut 1 of these for like an Ogre, and then cut 1 Nibiru to play 2 Ogre, and then yeah, you could do something like that. But for now, this is all good for me.
Do you run Upstart?
I don't run Upstart because, so 2 things. 1, this deck already has like problems with killing your opponent because it's like slow beaters. But 2, if I open Extrav and Upstart, I can't actually Upstart because Extrav stops you from drawing, but it doesn't stop you from adding. So that's why I don't play with Upstart. Next for the best hand trap and the best Altergeist trap card, it's Impermanence. It doesn't have Altergeist in the name, but this is the best 2-card combo in the game. You open this and it's just stupid. If you're going second, and your opponent does anything, you activate Imperm and then you get pretty much a turn 0 multi-faker, and then from there you're just snowballing. Like, it's so good. So
that's alone 2 interruptions, right?
So if you open these two and you're going second, you have 2 interruptions on turn 0. Like, you haven't even played yet, and you haven't even drawn a card yet, and you have 2 interruptions. So it's so insane. So yeah, Imperm, even though it's technically not an Altergeist card, it's the best Altergeist.
So that's
trap.
also why you're running like less hand traps, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is technically a hand trap as well, right? And again, when I was talking about the Veilers not being that great, this is the reason why. Because this is kind of like a Veiler anyways, right?
Can't call by the grave.
Exactly, can't call by the grave. It works with multi-faker, and it's not like a brick in hand, right? So this is really good. Then for the actual cards, I'm playing triple spoofing, double protocol, and 1 manifestation. I think this is standard. Sometimes I want to cut this to 2, but then sometimes I'm like, man, I have to have it at 3 because it puts cards like Conquery. Like, when Conquery is dead in hand, it puts Conquery back into your deck. If you have like a Silk in hand that you don't want, put this back into the deck. So it's really good. It sucks when it gets ashed, to be honest with you. It sucks when it gets ashed because everything is cost, but otherwise it's really good. It's just a staple, right? So
and then also like the manifestation, I've seen some people running that at 2. Do you have any opinions about that?
No, so here's the other way, is if you play 2 of this, I could see 2 of this. I don't like it at 2 because it's only good after turn 1. Turn 1, like if you open this, you're not doing anything with it unless you open randomly like a Melee Seek. But then you're relying on stuff, and so I didn't like that. I just wanted to search it, and then mid to late game, you can always get it back with Silkodis. So if it's in your graveyard, this is gonna add it back or set it, sets it from when it's sent to the graveyard. But also a lot of the time, if you have like a silk play with like this setup, you can so this is your board, let's say, right? You can activate manifestation, target whatever in your graveyard. So let's say you're targeting this in your graveyard. You target this in your graveyard, then you can silk target manifestation to bounce this back, bounce a card your opponent controls, and then this is still gonna resolve. So that's why manifestation at 1 is just fine, I think, just because again, you can just recur all the time, right? So that's really good. And then for the traps, for the rest of the traps, I play triple strike, triple crackdown. So this is, I think, standard. I think a lot of players just play this. It's such a good card.
It's better than Judgment.
Yeah, I think it's better than Judgment. I'm actually siding Judgment. I don't main the Judgment. I only side it in so that I don't lose the cards like Lightning Storm. Otherwise, like, I don't like Judgment in the main. This card is insane though. For 2 reasons. 1, it stops your opponent's combo because it's a negate. Like, it negates an effect, but on top of that, it takes your opponent's monster. So sometimes what I noticed was, if you play something like Judgment, or if you play something like Warning, or even like something like the Veilers, right? What happens is you'll negate your opponent's card, but they'll still have bodies on the field, and then they can continue playing, right? With this, it actually takes your opponent's card, and then now you actually have a card on your side of the field that you can link summon with, link climb with, and it makes link climbing just a lot easier in this deck. Otherwise, like, a lot of the time you just make Hextia, but with this you can start making stuff like the Nightmares and whatnot. So that's why I actually really like this. It's performed super well for me today.
I personally think that it's the best trap card, excluding like that archetype specific.
Yeah,
one.
exactly. Yeah. No, I think this card is insane. Like, it's very slept on. Obviously, because it's a continuous, like, it loses to MST, Twin Twisters, whatever. But if your opponent has to now use another card to out this, you're 1, negating a card, 2, they have to use another card to out this. So even if this gets stopped somehow, then it's like, okay, but I'm getting more cards out of my opponent's hand, right? So less cards for my opponent to play with. So this card's really good. And then lastly, triple compulse. This card's insane.
So good.
Bro, no one plays around it, and it's so good. They go like Auroradon, you go compulse. They go like whatever combos, you go compulse. You can compulse your own monsters. One time I compulsed my own monster. I think it was against in my round 3. I compulsed my own Marionetter so that I could, on his end phase, because he had no monsters on field, so I compulsed my own Marionetter so I could activate the multi-figure in hand, and then now I got multi-figure Cyclodist, and then when it came back to me, because this was on my opponent's end phase, when it came back to me, I just normal summoned Marionetter again.
Oh, are those like German though?
This one's German, these 2 are English. I hate it. I have a super, but I don't know.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I personally like the supers a little bit better, but I only had 1, so I'm like, might as well play 3 secrets.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's it for the main deck. It's 40-minute card main deck. I'm very comfortable and very confident with this list. Even though some of the stuff may not look standard, I think it's probably the best list I've played in a long time. I've been testing with this for a long time. So I'll go into the extra deck. Extra deck's pretty standard, I would say. Triple Hextia. Again, because of Extra, you have to play triple. These are your most important ones, so you just play triple of each. There's no really explaining. This card's insane. And then this card, obviously. 1 Access Code, 1 Boral Sword, 1 Boral Load, and 1 Avermax. Now, people are going to be like, why the heck are you guys playing these? Because these cards aren't really amazing in this format, or they don't see a lot of play. But these cards are actually insane. And it comes down to because I play the Crackdowns. So, you know how easy it is to crack down an opponent's like Link 2 or Link 3 monster, and then summon a normal summon your own monster and then make access code? Or like summon your own monster, like another monster and make something like an Avermax? It's just insane. So, even though these don't look standard, they're actually very easy to make. And then technically, okay, because of Extrav, technically if you wanted to, you could play like double access code, double Boral Sword, because honestly, these are just better than these. But honestly, I don't want to pay for another access code. Like, one's enough. I think Boral Sword is like sneaky. There was one time today where I had the option of going either into Boral Sword or Access Code. Funny enough, Boral Sword was OTK, Access Code wasn't. So I just did Boral Sword. That's why this card's actually low-key very insane.
Oh, and just so you guys get some backstory, this is probably like the only locals that's open in quarantine in Canada.
Yeah, and we actually have some really competent players here at Untouchables. So yeah, we have some really competent players here. Some of them have been like in the pro scene for a very long time.
Yeah, as you can see, it's like
right here. So yeah, this is my only loss today. So we have very competent players here, so that's why I'm like, knowing that I can compete with these players makes me feel good, just because if these are some of the best players in Canada and maybe even the world, and me knowing that I can compete with them just feels really good, right? So yeah, so these cards are insane. Again, if you want double access code, if not, just play something like this. And again, Crackdown makes this live. These two, I don't play Cerberus.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, I don't play Cerberus. The reason I play 2 is because I don't main deck any back row removal. So I don't mind making, like, if I banish one off Extrav, I'd like to have the second one just to be able to make it. But that's, like, I don't play Cerb. Cerb is not that great, so these are better. And again, Crackdown gives you access to these. But funny enough, Crackdown gives you access to IP and gives you access to Link Ross. It's insane. Today, yeah, it's actually really good. Today what happened was I cracked down one of my opponent's Link 2s and I made it into Link Ross. Got myself 2 tokens. I tributed a token for the Link Kuribo, and then I think I used Link Ross, Link Kuribo, and some other stuff to end up going into the Boral Sword. Now, obviously, the tokens, the tokens are kind of just sitting there because you can't link summon with them that turn. But then, funny enough, my opponent on their turn didn't get rid of the tokens, so then I just used the tokens because you can link summon with the tokens on the next turn, just not on the turn you summon them.
How do you feel about Masquerena though, in the fact that you can banish your unicorn for Extrav?
Yeah, so this is why I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this because of Extrav. But the thing is, because of Crackdown, if you make something like IP, and then you crack down another Link monster, like you can IP into like Avermax.
Which is insane. It's
insane. Or you can IP into Access Code. So that's why like this card is not great. I'm not saying it's like good in Altergeist, but just because of the access to Crackdown, this becomes actually really relevant. Like it comes up, right?
The access to access code.
Yeah, the access to access code pretty much. So that's really good. I honestly, again, the only thing I would change is if you want to play double access code, because technically access code is better than these, and double Boral Sword, you can do that. I just don't want to pay for it. I guess Boral Sword is not that expensive, but I don't know. I just didn't want to get it for locals, to be honest. So for my extra deck, or so for my side deck, I should say, 2 ogres in the side. Definitely gonna main these when Numeron comes out. Just decided to side them today because they are pretty good in Guru, and good against other decks in general. If you are
there's a lot of Guru here though.
Yeah, there's actually a decent amount of Guru here. It's also really good against stuff just like even the combo, like the Jet Synchron combo. If you hit Auroradon, it's actually pretty good. So yeah, Ghost Ogre I think is really good, but definitely gonna go in the main when Numeron comes out. 2 Cyclone only because I played 2 Heavy Storm Duster. Now I know Cyclone is better against Eldritch because it banishes the card rather than sends it to graveyard. But the reason I played Heavy Storm Duster was because, again, something like Guru, it's not always going to be Eldritch if you're playing back row. Also against the mirror match, this is really good. And so it also gives you a trap card for Multi-Faker. So I'm playing 4 back row essentially with 2 Cyclone and 2 the Heavy Storm Duster. If you wanted to just play 3 Cyclone, you could do that. But I just found 2 and 2 was really good. And I sided them in against, obviously, matchups, but whatever, Eldritch is too good. What can I say? And then for the combo, this is auto win against combo. Any combo against the Eldritch actually, I activated this after they used their Golden Lord already. Because if you activate, if you have this on field, they can just Golden Lord it away. But you activate this after, or if you know they don't have a Golden Lord, and then they kind of just pass. It just makes it really hard for combos to play. Even an Emancipator can't really play around
Yeah, they don't run any index spell and trap.
Exactly. If you don't run any main deck or like side deck stuff, especially if you're going for, if you know if they know I'm going first, this is gonna be really good. Evenly matched just for combo decks, so I can go second. And then Judgment. A lot of the time I only side Judgment in because if I'm afraid of like Lightning Storm or Twin Twister or Evenly, this is the only reason I side this in. One time actually, this didn't happen today, but the other day, I flipped Summon Limit, and I think they chained like Twin Twister, and I only had like 3 cards set, so I'm probably gonna Twin Twister this and something else. Yeah, and this was one of the other cards, and then I just Judgment it, and then they were just like, well, okay, now I can't play anymore, because as soon as this resolves against a lot of combo decks, they just can't play, right? So. Yeah.
And on top of that, it's extra respect because they are moderators.
Yeah,
so,
like,
that's
yeah. I have to be honest with you, I don't mean to flex here, but like I have alties. They're just in an alti collection, so I didn't want to pull them out. Don't mean to flex though. I ain't flexing. But yeah, there's that. So that's it for the side deck. Yeah, no, it performed really well for me today. I'm very comfortable with the deck. I think the deck is actually really good. It's something that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. A lot of people were hyped when Faker came back to 3, but then for some reason they just
nobody played it.
Yeah, just nobody played it. But I was like, man, like Faker at 3 is so good, and people are just really sleeping on it. Yeah, no, and I went X1 today. My matchups were Eldritch, some like Synchro Turbo, Danger, Dark World, which actually hand looped me. Yeah, I got hand looped the game too. But yeah, I won that, and then that's, yeah. So I went X1, very comfortable with the deck. I was really confident with it. I think the deck is really insane. It can steal a lot of wins, and it snowballs. So that's what it is as well.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the channel. Once again, shoutouts to, of course, SpankoYGO. His channel will be in the description, so be sure to subscribe to him over there. And of course, I will catch you guys in the next video. All right. Peace.